back to my channel. In today's video, we'll see how to redact critical data with sensitive data protection. The Cloud Data Loss Prevention API is part of sensitive data protection, which is a fully managed service designed to help discover, classify, and protect sensitive information. You can use the DLP API to classify data in a variety of ways, including data type, sensitivity level, and categories. The DLP API protects sensitive data in a variety of ways, including redaction, redact sensitive data from a document or file, masking, mask sensitive data with a placeholder such as star, tokenization, replace sensitive data with a unique identifier, encryption, encrypt sensitive data. So in this lab, we will inspect strings and files for matching info types. Then we'll learn about de-identification techniques and de-identify data. We'll redact info types in strings and images. So let's start the lab. So let's proceed with task 1. We will clone the repo and enable the APIs. Here, this repository contains the code. Let's copy this. Activate Cloud Shell. So first we need to set the project ID on Cloud Shell. So let's copy this. Copy the project ID. Now it's updated. Let's clone the repository now. Copy this. Now the repository is cloned. When you do ls, you can see this synth tool. This is the repository. So once the code is downloaded onto the Cloud Shell, we need to cd to that repository. So this is the one synth tool. Inside that there is a test folder. Inside that fixtures, and inside that Node.js DLP we have. Inside that we have samples. So we have this sample script, and we need to install Node.js packages. That's why we need to execute npm install command to download those required packages. So let's copy this command, execute it here. So we are changing the directory to samples folder and we are executing this npm install. So it has downloaded the required packages. We have already set the project ID, but let's export this project ID. So we will be creating a variable by the name project ID, and we will be setting the value for this variable. So this is a project ID. So let's export this variable. Just copy this, execute it here. Once that is done, we need to enable APIs. So first one is the DLP API. So DLP API provides methods for detection, risk analysis, and de-identification of privacy sensitive fragments in text, images, and Google Cloud Storage repository. And we also need this Cloud Key Management Service API. So this allows encryption, key management, and performs cryptographic operations with those keys. So these two APIs are required. And to enable these APIs, we need to execute gcloud services enable, and this is the service API name, DLP service API name, and cloud KMS API name, and we are passing the project ID as well. So let's copy this. Now it's successful. Now this is complete. Let's proceed with task 2, where we inspect strings and files. So we have downloaded the sample directory into our Cloud Shell, and it contains JavaScript files. So these JavaScript files will make use of different functionality of the DLP API. And we have this inspect string.js. So let's go here and do ls. So I am inside this samples folder, and when I do ls, it will list the files which is available inside this, and we do have this inspect string.js. So this is a one inspect string.js. So when we cat this file, we can see the description of this. So it's an inspect string. It inspects a string using the data loss prevention API. So inspect string.js inspects provided string for sensitive info types. So we will be inspecting this now. We will provide a string option and a sample string with some sensitive information. So this is the, you can call me at, this is a sensitive information. So we are passing a string, sample string here, and we are calling this inspect string.js file, and we are redirecting the output to this inspected string.txt. So let's copy this, execute it here. So let's cat this. So when we cat this file, so here are the findings: info type, person, name, email address, phone number. My email address is this, so he has provided the email address, and he has also provided the phone number, which is sensitive information. So here you can see in output we have this info type and likelihood. So info type, it's a information type detected for that part of the string. Find a full list of possible info types here. By default, inspect string.js inspects only for info types: credit card number, phone number, person name, and email address. So only these info types are inspected by inspect string.js. And here likelihood, the results are categorized based on how likely they each represent a match. So the likelihood can range from very unlikely to very likely. So when we find it here, so the person name is likely, so we can find this person name Jenny, and email address, we have this email address, likelihood of this is likely. Phone number is very likely, so he has provided the phone number mentioning you can call me at. So we can also inspect files for info types. So we can cat this resource accounts.txt file. Here you can see my credit card number is, so this is the sensitive information. He has also mentioned the CVV. Next we will use inspect file.js to inspect this accounts.txt file. So here you can see it's using this inspect file.js, and it is referring to this accounts.txt, and it is directing the output to inspected file.txt. So let's copy this. Now let's cat this. See here you can find under findings we have this credit card number. So he has provided this credit card number which is sensitive. And this is the asynchronous function that uses API to inspect the string input. Now let's upload output to the cloud storage. So using gsutil command, we are copying this output to this storage bucket. Let's copy this. It's copied now. So we have inspected the strings and files. Next we'll proceed with de-identification. Beyond inspecting and detecting sensitive data, you can also use sensitive data protection to perform de-identification using the DLP API. De-identification is the process of removing, identifying information from data. The API detects sensitive data as defined by info types, then uses a de-identification transformation to mask, delete, or otherwise obscure the data. So we will be using this de-identify with mask.js file to de-identify the output. So let's copy this. Now let's cat this output. See, now it has masked this. My order number is email at. So it has masked this sensitive data. So here the email address in the string is obfuscated while the arbitrary order number is intact. This is the .js file. So let's copy this. So when we cat this file, so we have this function defined. This is the one. So here, so we have this function which is used to mask this. Now let's upload this output to cloud storage. Now this is complete. Next we'll see how to redact strings and images. Another method of obfuscating sensitive information is redaction. Redaction replaces a match with the info type it's identified to match with. So we have this redact text.js to redact text from a sample input. So let's copy this. So we can cat this output file. So here we can see it has replaced this info type. So this is the output which we got there. So it replaces the sample credit card number with the info type. Instead of specifying the credit card number, it's mentioning the info type. So this is useful if you like to hide sensitive information but still identify the type of information that's being removed. And to redact the phone number from the image above, so this is the image and it is having this phone number, and to redact this phone number, we will use this redact image.js file and we will redact this phone number. So let's copy this. See, now you can see this image has been saved to this path. So it has generated a new image by redacting that phone number. To open this, we can click on open editor, click on this test, then fixtures, Node.js DLP, samples. So this is the one, redacted phone.png. See, now you can see this. So it has masked this one. It has masked this phone number. So let's try to redact the email address from the image. So for that we need to execute this same redact image.js and we need to pass this. So here we have to mention email address. So before we had mentioned the phone number, now we are redacting the email address, so we have to specify that, and a new png gets created with the email address being hidden. So let's copy this. Let's open the terminal again and let's execute it here. So now it's saved here, saved image. So now this is created. Let's click on open editor. See, you can find this redacted email.png. So when we open this, now you can see this email address has been redacted. You can still see the phone number because we didn't redact the phone number this time, but we did redacted the email address. We masked this email address. So here they are mentioning the function that is used to redact from a string, and is a request provided to de-identify content function. So this is part of that .js file. Now let's upload this output to cloud storage by executing these commands. Now this is complete. So in this lab we saw how to redact critical data with sensitive data protection. We downloaded the sample code which contained this .js file which used this DLP APIs. So we saw how to inspect the strings and files, how to de-identify, and how to redact strings and the images. Once you're done with all the tasks in this lab, you can click on End Lab and end this lab. If you found my video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel and stay up to date with the latest content on this channel. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video.